I done got all these black folks together to go help me vote to help get that evil Donald Trump out the White House. What you gonna give us? What am I gonna give you? I'll give you my foot square in your ass. That's what I'm gonna give you. Get you out of here, you dumb Negro.
Now available in paperback and ebook, The Man Who Rules the World. John Hayes must bring together men and gods to overcome a threat that seeks to destroy the planet. The Man Who Rules the World. Now available in paperback and e-readers everywhere.
One of my viewers sent me an email with a link to theintercept.com where there was a presentation of a so-called unreleased private Zoom call between President-elect Joe Biden and these so-called black leaders. And in this so-called unreleased private Zoom call between President-elect Joe Biden and these black leaders, your President-elect Joe Biden talks down to these black leaders in a paternalistic fashion and treats them like children, and then tells them he's not going to be able to give them anything tangible in exchange for their vote or be able to do anything for them. Now, this is the ultimate slap in the face for these black leaders, because these so-called black leaders led the charge in black communities, telling all of these black folks who voted 87% black women and 80% black men to go out here and vote for Joe Biden, telling them that they had to go out here and vote in order to defeat the evil orange man Donald Trump, because the evil orange man Donald Trump was such a racist. But when we look critically at this meeting between your Joe Biden and these so-called black leaders, instead of expressing gratitude and appreciation to all of those black voters out there who went out en masse and voted, again, 87% black women and 80% black men for Joe Biden, your Joe Biden expresses nothing but contempt for those black voters who went out here and voted to help put your Joe Biden in the White House, and by some estimates be the group that actually gave Joe Biden the White House. And again, instead of expressing gratitude and appreciation for these black leaders getting him into the White House, your Joe Biden does not see black people as anybody he respects, and he sees these black leaders as small children, and instead of addressing them respectfully, he addresses them in a paternalistic fashion, similar to the way the slave master would address his slaves. And he lets the black leaders know up front that they're not going to get anything tangible in exchange for their votes, and basically uses things like the Constitution to deflect giving them anything as related to executive orders. Meanwhile, we look at the predecessor of Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and he had no problem issuing executive orders for things like DACA to give immigrants what they wanted. However, your Joe Biden can't seem to find any effort to make executive orders to do anything for black people. And he deflects by using the United States Constitution and saying that that because of the Constitution, he can't go out here and do certain things. But I find it interesting again that he can do things for immigrants who aren't even citizens in this country, but he can't do anything tangible for citizens who are a part of this United States and have rights under the Constitution. That's how full of it your Joe Biden is, and that's how he shows how he takes the black vote for granted. And he also goes on in this conversation to let these black civil rights leaders know that he's not going to do anything as related to police reform, and he's not going to do anything because he says that, oh, there's things that he really can't do. But he's sitting there in the same breath talking about how he needs their support for these two Georgia runoffs in January. However, these black leaders, instead of trying to press that position and use it as leverage, these so-called black leaders are so cowardly. They don't see how they have leverage in this situation to say, if you want those 2 seats as related to that Senate majority, you're going to have to give me something tangible in order for me to rally those voters. No, these weak, spineless leaders, they sit there like a bunch of weak children listening to dad tell them he's not going to do anything for them, not understanding that they're grown men and women. And this is one of the big problems with a lot of these black leaders out here. They're codependent, and they see your Joe Biden as the abuser, and they see themselves as the victim. And because they've got Joe Biden's emotional hose attached to them, they cannot see an interdependent exchange between themselves and Joe Biden when they come to the table. Because any interdependent person, they're going to say, look, you want this 2 Senate seats for your majority, then you're going to have to give me something tangible as related to police reform and as related to executive orders, as related to taking care of the issues in the black community. But instead of doing that, what your black leaders just did there was sit there and look like children, and they embarrassed themselves because this is all setting the tone for how black people will be treated in the next 4 years. And that's the sad part, because they don't even see that they're being disrespected even before this man is inaugurated. And this is setting, again, the tone for his presidency over the next 4 years as related to black people. So your black leaders, that they were actually told this was going to happen by members of the new black media. All of us told them this was going to be the outcome if you go out here and vote for your Joe Biden. We told them that this would be the end game. Unfortunately, these black leaders thought, oh, they will just go along to get along. And now they're getting nothing but the same disrespect everybody told them they were going to get. And when I take a further critical examination of your Joe Biden, I can see how he has no respect for for black people. But black people, because they have low self-esteem and they want white validation and white approval, they don't see the power that they have to flip the game for themselves. No, they're sitting there thinking that they have to give the left these Senate seats without getting anything tangible, and they're thinking that this is going to be able to benefit them if they just go along to get along. But the whole thing is, if you're getting nothing, you have no incentive to even participate at this point, because there's nothing tangible on the table for you. Now, your Biden also went on to tell black leaders, to go work with Hispanics, and that's another slap in the face to all of these black Americans, because he's telling us to go work with another minority group that has no interest in working with us. So why would a group of black people want to work with another group towards getting our tangibles when that other group already has its own platform and own agenda? Because he said, oh, whites are becoming a minority and blacks they need to go work with other groups. And it's like, no, you need to work with us right now. And it's related to tangibles, because our issues and our agenda are completely different. And I guarantee you, he wouldn't have said that to the alphabet community to go work with Hispanics, because the alphabet community would have let him know right then and there, that's not going to go with us. But he does this to the black leaders because the black leaders have codependency issues, and these codependency issues have them thinking that taking abuse is perfectly acceptable, and they're sitting there looking like children, listening to him tell them he can't do anything for them, even though they voted for him in the largest majority. And some of these guys out here have actually gone out here, like your Jim Clyburn, and brought entire states to Joe Biden to secure the presidency. So I'm looking at the big picture as related to this whole meeting, and it shows what many in New Black Media said about how they were going to get treated by your Joe Biden, and how he was going to throw a middle finger up at black voters And that was the reason why many in new black media were telling people to stay home, because there was nothing in this election for us. And if there wasn't anything tangible on the table as related to us, then there was no reason for us to go out here and vote for your Joe Biden. Telling us that the orange man was bad was not a reason to vote, and it was not a reason to go out here and support a candidate who was bringing nothing to your table. That's something your black leaders still don't understand. They want us to go out here and vote straight down tickets, thinking that they're going to be able to create covert contracts between themselves and Joe Biden, where if they go out here and do his labor and his work, he'll go out here and compensate them with government jobs and give them positions in his cabinet. And many of these black leaders are finding out that your Joe Biden isn't giving them anything. And when I look at your Joe Biden again, he reminds me so much of the nice guy who sees the girl dating the jerk, and then he runs up to the girl who's dating the jerk sideways and tells her, "Stop dating that jerk. I'll treat you good. I'll treat you like a queen. I'll give you everything that you want, and you'll never have to want for anything." And the girl who's being abused by the jerk listens to the nice guy and then decides, okay, I'm going to leave the jerk and go to the nice guy. And then what happens is the nice guy, after he gets the girl, what happens is he goes out here and starts cheating on said girl. And then as she confronts him about it, he then starts the cycle of abuse once more. And like that girl who's involved with the nice guy, what happens with the black community is these codependent individuals, they just can't see how the Joe Biden is just the flip side of Donald Trump, and how the Joe Biden is just the other side of the coin of a Donald Trump. So you've gone from the racist who was up openly about it and upfront about it to the nice guy who pretends to get your attention and your approval. And then once he gets you hooked into him with the relationship, he then continues the cycle of abuse once more. And in fact, the cycle of abuse gets escalated with this guy, because on the outside, passively, he's saying that he's doing good things for you, but aggressively, he's out here abusing you and telling you that he can't do anything because it's all your fault. And the great irony is that these black leaders don't understand that the abuse that black people are going to go through is actually all their fault. And it's all their fault because they cannot break free of this codependent frame of thinking that they have as related to white people and their need for white validation and white approval. They believe that they have to go out here and support these candidates, but these candidates are not supporting them or their agenda. In an interdependent relationship, when somebody is not supporting you, you stop supporting them. But in a codependent relationship, what happens is the victim continues to support the abuser, even though the abuser has expressed contempt towards them and continues to express contempt towards them ongoing in the relationship. And your Joe Biden expressed contempt for all of those black voters who came out in force to help put him in the White House. And he went, instead of expressing gratitude and appreciation for those voters, instead he talked down to those voters like children and told them there wasn't anything he could do for them. And he put a boot square dead in the backside of all of these black leaders and told them to get out of his face. But many of these black leaders, they're sitting there again just because they're getting the attention from this white man, wanting more, not understanding they've been disrespected and put in their place as related to his opinion. In his eyes, he's let these black people know even before, I have gas, he's inaugurated. He's not doing anything for them. So when I look at the future Biden administration, it's no different than the Obama administration, and it's no different than what we got from 2008 to 2016. And you have him sitting there again talking about how he can't do anything because he wants to win Senate races. But the whole thing is, black people should have been making demands for tangibles before the primaries of this 2020 election, because that's how you get things done. And the big problem is, because we're so fragmented, we don't have a black agenda. And if we had a black agenda, we could then make demands of a candidate. And if we had used our $3.3 trillion in cash and credit, we could have actually picked our own candidate and then sent that candidate to the White House to implement a black agenda. Unfortunately, because we have clowns, these black leaders, which is what they are, sitting there thinking that if they go out here and support the candidate first, they're going to get something. And we're all seeing that all of these people, whether it be your black civil rights leaders or your organizations like Black Lives Matter, they have no value to politicians like your Joe Biden. They don't matter because they can take their votes for granted, give them absolutely nothing in return, because they know that many of these black people don't understand the subtle politics transpiring about them, and they don't understand how to create a political agenda for themselves. Instead, they're sitting there thinking, I'll wait till after the election, but you never wait until after the election to secure tangibles. No, you secure your tangibles in exchange for your vote. And if these candidates want to blow you off, then you blow them off by staying home when it's time to go to vote. Now, this video is not going to get monetized, and I need your support to continue making more videos. So if you could donate to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App, I would greatly appreciate it. Or you could head over to Amazon.com to pick up some of my positive black fiction in the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, the Spencerella trilogy, or my men's issues books like The Man Crisis. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, E-Steam Blast from the Past. Hell's aspiring angel takes on her demonic doppelganger in this action-packed, time-traveling E-Steam series adventure. Get E-Steam Blast from the Past with a bonus E-Steam comic book, No Good Deed, in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere.